Hello, folks. Welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa had a tough week in the lead up to his annual State of the Nation address, known as the Sona. After first insulting President of the United States, Donald John Trump, by hiding his intent to sign expropriation without compensation during their phone call, only to show off in front of the cameras at Davos hours later, Ramaphosa went on to insult Rwanda, blaming the military debacle in Goma in the DRC on Rwanda and calling its military a militia. President Paul Kagame of Rwanda did not take that slur kindly. Now, Ramaphosa topped off his arrogance days later in his Sona address, where he insulted the intelligence of all South Africans with a litany of nonsensical lies about youth employment, health care, budgets, this fund and that fund, and crowing about having 28 million of the country's 63 million citizens living off of public aid. Media reactions were mixed, with News 24 carrying the water for its overlords over at Lutuli House, Peter du Toit's op-ed attacking Donald Trump rather than Ramaphosa and the ANC's bankrupt policies. Times Live was overly kind, avoiding critical analysis of Ramaphosa, but the Independent line took the gloves off, taking the time to quote MK and Bosa, as well as air their own anger at Cyril's empty promises. MK Party calls out Ramaphosa's disastrous address. Umkhonto we Party spokesman Nalamu Ndela described President Ramaphosa's first State of the Nation address under the government of national unity as a disaster. Now, the EFF was damning in its condemnation of the Sona, and I'll read their statement since it only appears on Twitter. This is what the Economic Freedom Fighters had to say, and I will have a quote here from their party leader. The Economic Freedom Fighters rejects with contempt the directionless, inept, and incoherent State of the Nation address delivered by Cyril Ramaphosa. The Sona was nothing but a desperate attempt to mask the catastrophic failures of the neoliberal right-wing so-called government of national unity. Woo, that's scathing. Since the formation of the GNU, this unholy alliance between the African National Congress and the racist Democratic Alliance has delivered nothing but chaos, regression, and suffering for the people of South Africa, particularly workers and the poor. Yeah, okay, well, it goes on and on here, but you get the gist of it. The race-hustling EFF calling the Democratic Alliance racist without any basis. And here's what Juju himself had to say in front of the cameras.
There is no accountability, none whatsoever. He uses this platform to just come and waffle.
It's been more of the same, said Build One South Africa leader Mmusi Maimane, a refugee from the Democratic Alliance. It's been more of the same instead of reflecting on what was not achieved last year. If everything is a priority, then nothing is. Oh, well said, Mmusi Maimane. National Colored Congress leader Fadil Adams said this address was a replay of last year's speech. He said it left him frustrated and with more questions than answers. He sold nice packaging, but we know what's inside the box. I watched it. The fumbling, mumbling, teleprompted Fed delivery was not even nice packaging. The Democratic Alliance, its members of parliament beaming with pride, as Ramaphosa chirped along in his turgid speech, offered the following from John Steenhuisen, party leader after the State of the Nation address. As leader of the Democratic Alliance, I am extremely proud to say that our policies were front and center in the president's State of the Nation address. At national, provincial, and local levels, DA-led initiatives were highlighted and acknowledged as key drivers of progress and reform. What DA initiatives, if any genuine substance, was he referring to, I wonder? This recognition affirms the vital role that the DA has played in shaping government policy across the spectrum of governance. From national government to municipal level, our ministers and representatives have been at the forefront of the reforms necessary for economic growth, job creation, and service delivery. Recognition? When did he point out the Democratic Alliance-led initiatives in that speech? I don't recall them. Nothing in Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address gave any indication of serious plans to generate GDP growth. In fact, Ramaphosa threw in the towel, claiming the country needs only 3% growth, when in fact an economy of that size, less than $400 billion in annual GDP, and so much poverty, needs sustained 6.5% or better annualized growth for several years before it can even make a significant dent in poverty reduction. As far as jobs, he kept noting past job opportunities created, not actual jobs. And all of that was for government make-work schemes that do nothing to grow the economy. So where are these jobs you speak of, John? In less than a year, the DA's inclusion as a key coalition partner in the GNU has shifted South Africa onto a fundamentally different path. Well, on that point, John Steenhuisen and I agree. Indeed, it has. The Basic Education Laws Amendment Act, the 3% black tax, expropriation without compensation, and now, coming soon, national health insurance. It's all coming true. The national democratic revolution is here. Yay! Viva ANC! Oh, I'm sorry. That was the DA leader talking. We will continue to use our influence to shift the president's continued commitment to the Transformation Fund and the Public Procurement Act. John, please don't. South Africa is demonstrably worse off than it was a year ago, okay? The Freedom Front Plus's Corne Mulder had the following to say in the party's press release. The hope the President Cyril Ramaphosa will put South Africa first tonight with a pivotal State of the Nation address to serve as impetus for the government of national unity has been dashed. 100%. All Cyril and ANC, not the GNU. What was meant to offer hope for the future instead raised questions about the president's intention to treat the parties in the GNU as equal governing partners. Well, I'm sorry, Dr. Mulder, but you're not equal partners, and it could not be any clearer than it was after expropriation without compensation. President Ramaphosa once again conducted himself as a president of the African National Congress and his cohorts who have the National Democratic Revolution as a common goal. South Africa and his people come after that. ANC first, foremost and always. South Africans last. Standard Cater motto. Spot on, Dr. Mulder. The president made this very clear as he started his speech by lashing out at President Donald Trump in America, saying South Africa will not be bullied. It's pretty sad, given Trump is only ending handouts, not applying sanctions or kicking South Africa out of the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, which South Africa is no longer eligible for based on its actions. Ramaphosa should have thanked Trump for leaving South Africa in AGOA. He once again unilaterally committed the country to fighting for the Palestinian cause and proceeding with South Africa's action against Israel in the International Criminal Court. Well, he had to. Tehran expects payback for the suitcases of cash that paid off the ANC's party debts. Oh, too soon? After signing Bella and the Expropriation Act into law, the president made it very clear that the national health insurance is also not negotiable. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the government of national unity is the graveyard of national unfortunates, and that's reality. And that's the take amongst political leaders and politicians, with a little bit of my commentary interspersed there, in response to Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address in February of 2025. It was, as Hillary Clinton is fond of saying, a big nothing burger. More empty promises, no follow through on all the previous multiple years of promises, none of them fulfilled. More gobbledygook, more nonsense. And now that the government has co-opted the Democratic Alliance and they actually think they're winning inside this GNU, I am very concerned about the future of South Africa, as you should be. What say you, South Africans? Cheers.